Well, we have Anthony Trucks here with us today. He's a motivational speaker, along with being an ex-NFL player. I know that I'm forgetting the other things, and I forgot to ask you earlier, but I'll let you do that. But we are so thankful to have you with us and giving us your story as to your life and what brought you to what you're doing now and where you're at. So thank
hmm
you.
Yeah, no problem. Don't worry about forgetting stuff. I forget stuff all the time too. This is literally there's no way to cover it all. I think sometimes, but yeah, that's pretty much my story. I teach people to design and build better lives around pretty much fitness, business, and overall life. So it's something that I've fallen into, I guess, almost accidentally, but by great accident, and so it's a blast. I get to get on meetings and interviews with people like yourself, and I get to travel the world, and I work with people from 9-year-old kids up to people who are in retirement. So it's kind of a weird world, but I get to experience I think the best parts of it.
Definitely. So, what started you on this? What's in your life happened that got you to where you are now?
Oh, that could be a multitude of different answers. For me, it started at 3 years old. It was my first memory of life was being put into foster care, and it was my mom like calling my name and me going to the back of the house and me just watching her cry and then handing my hand to some strange woman, and she pretty much took my hand and walked me into this car I'd never seen and puts me in, and my siblings are crying in the back seat and we drive off, and like literally like that moment is seared into my brain, and it was this feeling of like just complete like loss. I don't know what's going on. You're scared. You feel like you're not prepared for what's about to take place. It's just a complete island feeling, like you're just stuck. And it was like this moment of time where looking back on it, it's kind of like where we all get to at some point. There's this moment of whether it happens when we're in our 30s, 40s, 50s, who knows? But at some point, you're like a deer in headlights. You're like, what is going on? And it's just this weird feeling. For me, it was my first memory, so I've spent a lot of time navigating that. From 3 to 6 years old, I was bounced around from foster home to foster home. They never really tell you when you're leaving or where you're going, and so you're pretty much just come home one day and you're in a new house. You get picked up and taken somewhere else, but in those houses, it wasn't very good. Like it was at the time a place where, as long as you didn't die, it was okay. It's a paycheck, so they'd pay the people to have me there, and I'd be starved, I'd be beaten, I'd be like borderline tortured, like really weird stuff. So by 6 years old, I was callous. Like I was this little like bad, shut off from the world kid, and got moved into the house that would be my family now. The interesting part there is like we were poor. Like we had mice in the pantry, roaches in the garage. I was the only black kid in an all white family, so that was an interesting dynamic. The school wasn't very diverse. I think I was one of two black kids in my entire elementary school. So we had like this weird situation I'm in, and it kind of for me for life was really sporadic. My biological mom has what's called parental rights. So although she doesn't live in the house, she can determine what I can and can't do. And she wasn't really sound of mind. She was called a pathological liar. So she's kind of disturbed. And so what ended up happening is I lived in this world where I had two sets of rules, and I had no idea if tomorrow I'm gonna go home to the same place. And at school, I'm always in trouble because I'm not accepted at home, kind of not really accepted, but not stable at home. And so I'm just literally running amok for like years. So I start getting older, and my biological mom, she just over the years just kept lying about stuff. She would never make visitations and have some weird reasons as to why. And she'd always say, "Hey, pack a bag, just wait by the window at 8 o'clock at night. I'm gonna get you. We're gonna run off together." It's like a kid's dream for their mom to come get them. And every night that would have take place, she pretty much would just never show up. I mean, I would watch car after car drive by, and she would never actually show up. And it got me to the point where at 14, I finally like wised up, and I went to a judge, and I stood in front of him and I said, I no longer want her to be my mom anymore, and severed parental rights. And what this did was a couple of things. One, it allowed me to be adopted, so my family finally could adopt me. Two, it gave me the sense for the first time in my life that tomorrow I'm going to put my head on the same pillow that I woke up from, for sure. Because for years, I mean, look, up until 14, there's no way to know for sure that's going to be your home. And then I got to also do something cool, which is play football. Like for me, football was this amazing, like an amazing outlet because I could run, I could jump, I could hit people, which was a great feeling. It was just a great outlet that I never had. And so for me, that was like the first usherance into feeling like I meant something to the world. And so for me, for a couple of years, I played football, but I sucked at it. It was really bad. Like I really wasn't very good at football. and and after a couple of years, like I'd been adopted, and life was going, kind of ups and downs. I got to a point where I pretty much was like, you know what, football's not panning out. I love the game, but it's not panning out. And my adoptive mom, got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. My older brother went off to the military, and so you're at this moment where we all get to of like it's just hard. Like you get to life and life picks up and you just want to throw the towel in. Like you're completely just like it's like this feeling of just not even just physical tired, but like emotional tired. Like you don't want to keep fighting that battle. And so I got there at 15. I was pretty much done. I'm gonna chalk it up. I'm just gonna slide through life. It's where a lot of people get to this. Like people get to this and they live there for years of their life. I mean, someone listening right now might be in that place. And I remember the one thing that switched it was I was sitting in a class. It was an English class. It was Mr. Howell's class, and I was in the back right desk, and he had this kind of like love seat in the right hand side back there. And there's two girls that were talking to each other, and I had this black parka I would come to class with, and I would put over my head. I would kind of lay down, and I would eat this baggie of cinnamon toast crunch that I brought to school every day. And I remember that the girl says to the other girl, "Well, the reason I'm so bad is because I'm in foster care." And for me internally, it was like this weird, like frustratingly confusing feeling. Cause like, I know I sound like that. Like, I know that's what at some point I'm gonna be older saying, well, the reason this happens because, my life sucked. And it's just this thing where a lot of us will have these things happen and we'll get in that place and we can always tie it back to that one situation or one reason to justify to other people later on why we're criminals, why we're bad, why we haven't gotten better shape, why we haven't had a better job, why our business isn't successful. There's always that one excuse. And I realized that for me, no matter what excuse I made, like that was going to be the life I lived. And the only person who's going to change it was me. And so I remember going home and having this really internal conversation of like, I don't want to be that guy. I want to have everything change and I want to be great. And that shifted everything for me. And I went to work, both internally and like physically. So physically, it was this thing where I would go and run routes, and I would catch footballs every day because I wanted to be great at football. Internally, I had to realize that the only thing that was stopping me was my excuse as to why I wasn't working. And when that shifted, it took all of the excuses away. It took all the reason to not work away. And the next year, I showed up, and I was a monster. I was faster. I was stronger. I was meaner. Like I was just a whole different player. And it was mostly because I'd done the work to earn the right to say that you were not allowed to beat me. You hadn't worked, and in that aspect, it was kind of like for football, but that same thing happens in our lives. When you've put the work in, and you've done all that like internal and external work, the world hasn't got the right to beat you. It doesn't. Like the little things that pop up, like they're meaningless. And so when I pushed, like I started working, I started building over the years, and so I got a chance to play as a sophomore in varsity. Got a scholarship to go play at the University of Oregon. Played for 4 years. After that, went out and played in the NFL for 3. Tore my shoulder in the third, so I played pretty much for 2. Came home, opened a gym. That was a lot of ups and downs, but over 6 years, got to the point where I was making 6 figures in a gym, and then I got a consulting gig where I was making 6 figures, and all was well. Like I was doing traveling the world, like in books, and it was really this cool thing. And I got to a point where, and I wish I could say life was great. I had a lot of ups and downs in my life, in between that divorce and the health stuff, a whole bunch of weird stuff. But I'm just talking about the good things at the moment. And I got to this point where I look back on my life, and someone said, "Well, how did this all happen? Like, how'd you come out of that?" And I look back and I realized that there was this moment when I was 15 when I had that thought of like, I want to be great. And I started working. And a lot of us, we get those points of we got to shift something to be great, but we really don't exactly know what to do. Or we don't even trust that if we work, something great will come of it. And that's the biggest determinant of whether it becomes successful or not. It's for most people like this faith in knowing, not just a religious faith that if I work at this, then something great can happen. A lot of us only focus on the fact that it's not going to work. There's too many problems. We're doomed. And what I learned at that level there was I had to work even when I didn't think it was going to work. That's it. I had to. And if you get to that moment in time and you actually start working, the crazy part is because everybody else does the same thing, and if you do differently, sometimes it actually works out. Like it's impossible to beat the person that never stops. So what I learned was this monstrous kind of thought that literally is my company now. And it's this concept of what it means is if you have to look at the world of which you live in, if you want anything, you're not going to trip and stumble into $1,000,000. You're not going to trip and fall into a great relationship or marriage. You're not going to stumble into a great job. It doesn't happen by accident. It's just everybody's chasing those same carrots. If you want something, you have to hustle for it. You have to. And the problem that most people have is they know that, but they do not trust that if they work, they can succeed. So for me, I learned at that age that I could succeed if I hustled. And so it's just this concept of trust your hustle. And that literally is my message. That's what I've developed structure wise and framework wise. I teach people actual curriculum to help them get to that point of internal trust of their abilities so that when they pursue this next dream or idea, they can actually have this ability internally to say, you know what, I got this, and actually pursue it and put the work in and actually get things done. And I think what actually got me to this point now is it was a moment in time where this really became like a focal point for me. It was April 15th, 2014. And I was sitting in a room with my dad, my grandma, my mom, and we were all there because my mom was kind of in the back ends of her life. And I was holding my mom's right hand. I remember as me and my dad were watching the heart rate monitor decline, and then I watched her inhale and exhale her final breath. And it was this like, it's one of those like surreal moments because it's life being, taken. And my mom physically couldn't move, couldn't run, couldn't jump. She physically couldn't do much. She could barely speak. And for me, I got to this point where in my gym, I was making good money and I was, in books and I was traveling the world, but it was not fulfilling. I realized that as much as people think money's going to give you happiness, it doesn't. It removes stress, but it's not input with happiness. And I realized that my job as a human was not to just help somebody lose 15 pounds or run a faster 40 for their combine in the NFL. It was to actually give something back. And I found out, like maybe like a year after her passing, some weird statistics, which are, as a foster kid, if you go to any prison in America, 75% of the population in the prison is former foster kids. 75%, crazy numbers. 2% of foster kids ever graduate from college. And there's like a couple 100,000 in California alone. So like the numbers for us are super slim for us to do anything successful. Business wise, 95% of businesses fail in the first 5 years, and mine's going on 9 now, the first one. And on top of that, playing in the NFL, like 0.009% of football players, like just football players get a chance to play. So you look at population of the world to play in the NFL is like incredibly small. And it's like on paper, statistically, I don't exist. There's no there's no number that says like, oh, that guy, like I'm a super outlier. And it's not because I'm special. I don't think it's because like I was just gifted with some crazy abilities. I think what I was gifted with was unconditional love from my mom. That's it. Like she loved me when I was bad and I wanted to go back to my real mom. She loved me when I was bad at school, like all the craziness. There was times I got arrested for doing dumb stuff in high school, but she was there. Like, is the only person in my life that would never left, like never left. It was just love. And I was like, dang, like I wasn't even her blood, like was not her real kid. You know what I mean? So it was this true unconditional love. And what I realized was she gave me a gift of the ability to do what I do to enter the world, but also like the internal compassion and the love and that care. And so I've realized that for me, not only do I have a gift of doing it, like in a sense of what she gave me, and I've earned and like, skill wise over life, just the human I am, but I also have this incredibly deep passion to help people. And I know a lot of people say that, like I just want to help people, but it's a weird, creepy thing. Like I don't really get genuinely happy unless I'm seeing somebody else get happy from something I helped them do. Like it's even if it's my kids, playing a game, like it's the simple things. So I realized that for me, like my purpose on this earth is to impact people who impact people, and truly, everybody impacts somebody. Mom, dad, cousin, sister, brother. So,
Yeah.
so that's what I do, man. I hop on calls like this. I have no idea who will ever listen to this, but if I'm really gonna sit back and say that I've given my life to helping and serving people, then I'm gonna serve even if it's one person listening. So
Hmm.
yes, I'm gonna get up and hang on the phone with you guys and talk, but I love doing it.
You are awesome at doing it as well.
Yes,
Thank
very
you.
awesome. Very
Showing.
clear-minded. The struggles have obviously honed you into who you are today.
Yeah, all gifts. A lot of people
Yes.
ask me like, "Are you mad that it happened?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not mad it happened anymore. I was, but I'm
Hmm.
more appreciative. I don't like that anything happened, but I appreciate that it all happened."
Yeah. I feel whatever we go through in our journey becomes the core of who we are as an adult. And
Hmm.
if we can get past that anger and that emotional travesty that created in us and step beyond that and look for the positive in life, it becomes your strength.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And it keeps you clear and focused because you know where you came from and you're not going to forget.
yeah. They
Yeah.
say a smooth sea makes not a skilled sailor.
So,
Absolutely, yeah.
so,
And
so true.
that's true. That's
Gary,
very true.
Gary knows just from my experience as far as the whole going back and looking at, okay, people that say, yeah, are you angry? Are you angry with what happened in your life? Are you angry that you lost a decade of your life? And, like you said, yeah, you were angry then, but coming through it and realizing I was meant to go through that for a reason. I was meant to suffer or whatever it is in order to help others down the way. And so, I know that I can relate, and I know Gary can relate too, as far as looking back and going, no, it wasn't a happy time, but if you stay angry at it, it does you no good, and you can't help others that way.
Yeah.
Very draining, energetically.
Very draining. Very, very draining.
So how long was it between when you decided this was what you were going to do and you actually doing it? Because so many people have a hard time finding their voice.
Yeah. It was probably about 3 months, I think.
Wow, that's quick.
I literally, I had happened upon the situation in life where I had got a good consulting contract that could fund my life for a couple years. At the level I live at, because I'm a really below the means kind of guy. Like I just hang out. I wear shoes. Honestly, half the shoes I have are falling apart. I don't care to buy new ones, so they really do. It's kind of this thing where I realized that I wasn't in love with my day. I went to my gym one day after 6 years, and I didn't feel like being there for the first time. And part of it was because I had got this moment of clarity with my mom passing, and I happened upon this guy named Brennan Burchard and this event he has called Experts Academy. And I sat in this room and watched somebody tell me how I literally had something to give to the world, and I didn't realize it. And as I started sitting back and looking at what I experienced and what people listened to and how they listened to me, which is odd, like people just listen to me talk. I was like, all right. I realized I could make a living out of it, and not make a living where it was just for the buck, but like a living where it was purposeful. And so my mom passed in April, and I closed the gym at the end of June. April, May, June. Yeah, June 29th was the last day the gym was open, and I closed it, and I ventured off into this world a little over 2 years ago. And I sprint. Like I'm a football guy, I run fast, so my thing was to just go. And I've spent a lot of time, a lot of money, just investing in myself, my education, so that if I'm going to take this seriously, I'm not just, I think some people go and say, I want to help people, and they look at themselves in a sense of, I want to create something for people and make something for people, but they're really looking at how cool they can look, how good they can look to people. And for me, I look at it as every single person I talk to, like right now, someone's listening to this, I'm taking part of their life from them. There's moments being taken, and if at any point in time I feel like I've wasted a moment of their life, like it hurts me. And so what I do is look at, if I'm going to go and venture in this world and really help somebody, and I'm going to look at every individual person and say, like, this is their individual life, I better be great at what I do. And so I strive to make sure I'm a person of great consistency and great just morals and ethics and how I pursue and approach this world for people.
Fantastic. Well said.
Yeah. In what you were saying, you mentioned something about your own personal health issues in the past.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that a little bit?
I mean, I've never had any like illnesses, but I've had a lot of injuries. I've torn both shoulders. I've had both wrists broken. One was repaired twice. I've torn my Achilles. I've got in my low back 2 bulging discs. One's degenerative and has a tear in it. So like I've had to battle a lot of like just physical stuff, mostly from the game of football, obviously. But there are things that you can't control, and there are things that they take your life from you in a sense of what you're capable of doing, whether it's going for a walk, or just being able to have the energy to do something, or just pain, just overall pain you have to deal with. And so for me, a lot of it's you get to that point where you have a lot of internal conversations about what do you want to do, how do you want to do certain things, like do you want to progress and pursue the dreams you want to pursue? Like, 'cause for me it was football. Do I want to go past this injury and get back in a situation to do that again? And then at the same time, it's this thing where you start to have internal conversations of whether you're good or worthy, or like if you matter, because people don't give you the same love, because all of a sudden now you're not able to do the same things you were. And for me, the injuries really had me get to a point of comprehending that it was something that I didn't have control over, so I should not let it depict who my person is. I shouldn't live my life in a way as though that injury or that physical ailment was me. And when I did that, it allowed me to have the desire and hope to actually get myself better. And then when I came out of it, I had a new lesson, or a new something learned that is not something I would directly say, here's a lesson I learned from a shoulder injury, but just maybe it's the way I addressed people in my life when I was having pain and I was mean to somebody else that cared about me, just wanted to help, or maybe the way that I chose to back out of a situation and use it as an excuse when really it wasn't a good enough excuse, and I knew that. And so just little things that I learned as human operational lessons.
That is so true. How we do that, and how we change according to what crowd we're in too. Our circle of influence. If you're around the football players, you act different than if you're around your family, or and that wound actually feels different.
Yeah.
Because your mental capacity shifted. Back to people, because it's kind of what I try to help people do, is find their voice. And I think you have a video called Stuck Behind a Slower Driver.
Yeah.
Could you explain
I
that?
was just watching that
That was last night.
yesterday.
Yeah, I do a video every night called a Nightly 90, and that was last night's Nightly 90, I believe. And it's kind of thought where at the end of the day, we're all speeding to get somewhere. Like I've been in multiple times in a car where I'm like, God, this person's going so slow, and I want to go so fast, and I'm like trying to go fast, and all of a sudden, as I'm trying to like sneak out from behind him and hit the gas and go, I pass by a police officer. I'm like, oh, okay, it's a good thing. I needed to go that slow, right? And I guess if you tie it to things that are, physical in life, let's say sometimes we want to go at a super fast pace. We just want to, but we don't realize at the end of the day that that's not the pace we're supposed to go at. There's a bigger, higher reason. Like I could have got on the freeway at 5 seconds before that and never been behind that car, and then I probably would have got a ticket for speeding, right? So it's like that was there for a reason. So sometimes things that happen to us, they're meant for us to slow down, because if I'd have been focused on not trying to speed up and go around them, but just focus on driving, I might have saw a cool mountain on the side. I maybe saw heard something cool on the radio, or maybe I would have just sat back and relaxed, and maybe I at some point in time could have, caught somebody else getting pulled over by the car, like who knows? But what happens is I think we try to go at this pace, and sometimes the pace is not supposed to be the one that we're desiring to go at, but it's the one we're actually in. And we may not like it. Like in those moments, I don't like that I'm slow behind this driver, but it's where I'm supposed to be at the moment.
That's a very interesting point, because so many of the people that we try to help in group, that's where people are at. They physically cannot get any further. They're stuck in this, severe health issues of, whether they're bedridden, whether they, can no longer work at their job because they're just that sick, and they are stuck in this for months and months or years. And it's that mindset of, I don't want to do this anymore. I've been stuck here. I can't do this anymore. Why is this happening to me? So, that definitely comes into play for people. It's a hard one. It can be a really hard one to get past when you're in that mindset.
That is so true. That's right.
So yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
You were talking about
addiction
a
and
lot of people
subtraction.
a lot of people are dealing with things. A lot of people are, I think you said like they're bedridden and they're dealing with a lot of situations.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes.
their health, is just to the point where they've been dealing with it for so long. They've been down for so long, and trying to find that piece of continuing to move forward is a very difficult and real piece that we deal with. And it's something that I dealt with, Gary. I'm sure you did. I don't know, but it's a theme. It's a regular theme for most of the people that we have in group.
A few weeks in bed and a few months in a wheelchair, but it's a lot of it is when they told me I'd never walk again and they were going to amputate this arm right here, and because I didn't believe them, and I worked towards that goal, somehow I came out of it. There's a new movie coming out, Vinny Pazienza, a boxer, 5-time world champion, was in an accident, broke his neck. They told him he'd never fight again, but he did, because that's kind of where his motivation was going. Don't tell me I can't do this. And stepping. Let me ask you this, Anthony. Do you feel that stepping through the people who have opinions of you, and standing up inside yourself and taking accountability is where the strength comes from to move forward.
I think part of it, what I find is everybody's driven differently. And there's external drives, there's internal drives, there's monetary drives, there's award-driven people, and I think for me the thing was I just got really really fed up, and I had this internal conversation of there's really only two ways to go, and two ways to approach the way to go is one. A lot of us sit in places we don't want to be in. Like I'm sure, the boxer didn't want to be in that place, and you probably didn't want to be in that place, and so you get two decisions. There's literally just two. One is, okay, this is what took place. I'm going to accept this, and I'm going to live in this crappy place forever, and you have to deal with that chronic pain. So you have to put in a lot of work just to accept that chronic, crappy place you're in, whether it's physical or mental, of having to just deal with that. The other side of it is that area where it's like, well, I don't want to be here. How am I going to get out of here? And this is where it ties to this. You're not going to just stumble out of it. You're just not. I wish that it happened. Maybe 1 in a million people may just all of a sudden wake up one day and they're cloud nine, everything's great, right? It's a miracle. But for the rest of us in the world, we actually have to work out of it. The scary thing is we just don't know if it's going to work out. So it's kind of this weird in between of, well, I can guarantee you if you don't work, you don't succeed. But I can't guarantee you if you do work, you do succeed. You know what I mean? And so this is where people look at that unknown of gosh, I don't know what's going to take place. And what ends up happening is we spend a ton of time looking at the unknown negative. That's it. The unknown negative. And that becomes where our focus goes. And where our focus goes, our energy flows. So if we're looking at all these things, they're what if this happens? And that may not happen. What we don't do is we don't look at all the unknown, amazing, great stuff that can happen. Because within that same, if you're just cast a shadow and say, okay, in that box, that area of unknown, there's good and bad. What we're looking at is just the negative. We're not saying, what if there's all this crazy good that we don't even see is actually good? For me in my life, I've realized that every time I've worked and having no idea if it's going to pan out, that when I get to that moment of success, it's way greater than I ever would have expected. It's a better feeling, and there's more tied to it. There's all these added benefits. There was that whale, but it's also the barnacles. Okay, I'm in a happy place, and then, well, cool. Now other people that are like me are around me, so I have better relationships in life, and I see the world better. And maybe I've worked myself past a physical ailment. Now I'm going to lose a bunch of weight, and I can go hiking. I can see the top of Mount Everest now someday. So all these added benefits, but we don't look at that. We just look at all the negatives. And I think when you get stuck in those places, you as a person have to internally sit back and say, where do I want to be? Do I want to deal with the chronic pain and put effort into dealing with the chronic pain? Or do I want to put effort into finding a way out of this place? And I think the people that get fixated on that positive, the other side, are the ones that make it out. And I literally mean fixated. I don't mean guess at it. I mean fixated, because if you don't get obsessed with it, what ends up happening is something pops up that gets in your way and you stop and slide back down the hill. And so for everybody, it's different. It's a different thought. It's a different moment. We're all different people, but with the perception of I've got to find that thing that I can be obsessive about, when you can latch onto that, you'll find a way out. I don't know what it was for you, and it may have been something simple. I mean, for some, maybe you're maybe I never want to have to only buy one glove. Maybe that was your drive. You know what I'm saying? It's just there's got to be that one thing, and if you figure it out, it goes. And it doesn't have to be great for somebody else. It doesn't matter whether somebody else thinks it's a good driver. It really doesn't. It's just got to be good enough for you.
Absolutely. You get from point A to point B without getting in an accident.
Yeah, that's it.
Just like life, point A to point B without an accident.
I was just saying that yesterday to somebody. I was sitting here looking, I'm this is just a race that never ends. It's just a nonstop, I don't want to say grind, but it's this thing that you get going. And I think the people that struggle the most are the ones that are wanting the treadmill to slow down, as opposed to saying, if I run faster, I'm going to get better lungs and stronger legs.
Absolutely. Now, you work with people as far as food goes too, right? What's your recommendation on that?
Oh man, it's all different. I'm the most realistic guy that in my mind, at least, I'm giving myself that label. I don't know if you can, but I'll take it. The way I look at it is everything depends on the person. everybody says, here's the best one for human beings, here's the best one for that. And what I say is no. What's the best one for your palate? What's the best one for your physical health? Like, I mean, everything. Because what happens is I can't say, hey, you should be on a zone diet because of this. And no matter who you are, the zone diet's the best. Or paleo's the best thing for you because the Paleolithic man, like, there's no way to know for sure. So what I say is before you even go into choosing a crazy diet or nutrition, get used to be able to control what the hell you eat. A lot of people have zero control. And so I start out with saying, let's put in a structure to where you're going to prepare food, buy food, healthy food at least, obviously, and have it to where you're at least eating consistently healthy food and you've stopped eating the garbage. And then we'll start putting in specifics based upon what you want. So, like if you eat out at fast food every day, I'm not going to say, here, hop on the paleo diet. You're not going to do it. It's not going to be your
Right.
thing. So if I say, hey, let's start by eating at home as opposed to 7 days a week, or sorry, eating out 7 days a week, eat at home 1 day a week, then two, then three. And then when you're eating at home at least 5, 6 days a week, all right, let's start looking at what do we eat when we're at home? Like what time do we eat? And we start preparing food, right? Maybe you go to the Costco and get a whole bunch of hamburger meat and you cook that up, or turkey meat. And then you go get some spinach and you get some kale or something. And you go get some brown rice or some yams and you make some simple, basic foods, season it how you want, and then just make a bunch of it, and then put it in your house in a container. Because the biggest problem people have is they come home and they don't want to make food. So we eat
Right.
what's fast. And that's it. That's the biggest, like, people don't even realize how important those moments are. But it's like, oh, I just got home from a long day. Let me just grab this cup of noodles real quick. And then they put it in the microwave. And so if you already have done the work, and it probably takes a max of 2 hours on a Sunday to be able to prepare your week's food if you wanted to, then when you get home and you're tired, you get fast food, but it's healthy fast food and it's good for you. Once you have that roll going, then we can start adjusting what you're taking, how many calories, if you want to go that route, what your workouts are. It's a bigger steamroll, but most people, they want to guide a person by having a carrot saying you should eat this, whereas I go to the back and say, where are you at? How can I nudge you forward little by little? And then eventually we'll get you pushed in the right direction.
Fantastic. Yeah, I always say, it doesn't matter what somebody thinks you should eat. What matters is what your body is saying.
Yeah.
And if you're sick, it's your diet.
Yeah. Which come in.
Or mental stress, or there's something in your life that's off, and
Yeah.
you need to look at that. So now on the physical side, because you used to be a trainer, you may still be a trainer, I'm not sure, but you are a trainer. You're training though through voice instead of
Yeah.
lifting weights. Would that be an accurate?
Pretty much. And I
Okay.
still teach some people how to work out. Very, very minimally, but I do have it. It's still
Okay.
my wheelhouse.
Okay. So when, because the people that Angie and I deal with can barely, a lot of them can barely move.
Yeah.
So, but on your end, what is your physical training, and how do you look at people so you know what areas they need, or do you let them tell you that?
Oh no, they don't know. If they knew, they wouldn't be where they're at, to be
Right.
honest. It's always an assessment. Any good trainer will assess somebody first. A lot of people come in and say, let's just start working out. Hit the bicep machines. We'll do some squats. And the problem is they don't look at each person's biomechanic patterning and their overall ability to exert energy and what their heart rate level is when they start doing cardiovascular work. And so for me, it's all dependent upon, one, your goal. I got to know where you want to go. Do you want to lose weight? Do you want to gain weight, muscle weight? Do you want to run a marathon? Do you want to go play football, soccer, basketball, swimming? They're all different sports, different movements. And once I know where your goal's at, then I can look at, okay, I know where you want to go. Let me see what I'm working with. And then we do movement screens. And I want to see not only how your body physically can move, but then on top of that, we'll start doing like muscular tests. So where's your strength? Where's your stability? Where's your balance? Where's your ability to recuperate? Like where's your cardiovascular health? And now that I have those two, I design something individually for that person. And for every person, it's different. There's certain patterns, like there could be a squat pattern, but you might do body weight or a band to help you up, whereas somebody else might do, single leg Bosu ball squat with holding rice plates. Who knows? It's a
Yeah.
crazy top of the scale.
Yeah.
But in between that's, you fit somewhere. And so once I know where you want to go, and then I know who we're working with and where you're at now, it's all crafted individually in between.
I was watching a video with Ido, who is a movement master, and he always starts people on the still rings, because the still rings always move to the weakest part of your body.
Interesting. It makes sense. It's
Steel
assessment.
rings, Gary? What do you mean steel rings?
Still rings like the gymnasts use where they
Oh,
do
gotcha. Okay.
the.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, those will always force your body to the weakest part,
Yeah. That makes
which
sense.
which I thought was pretty cool. I never really thought about that.
Yeah.
And
It's a form of an assessment tool. It's definitely an assessment tool.
so once you started, this is another thing that people I feel have to deal with is, okay, so they're starting to find their voice, and they are getting to the point where they want to put up a video, and then they want to go out into the public to start speaking.
Yeah.
How did you start?
I started talking. I literally just started sharing a story, and over the years, it's been crafted. A lot of people, they want to wait until it's perfect and dialed in and everything before they talk about it. But the problem is kind of like saying, "Hey, I have this cool
Gary.
thing. I have this cool thing here, right? I want you to, it's gonna be perfect one day." And then I'm just gonna hide it over here until it's perfect, and then I'm gonna show you it later on. It's kind of like I literally had this one guy tell me, he said, I want to get better at doing video, so I'm gonna wait till I'm good at video to start doing video.
Gary's
Like
trying to prove a very good point right now.
that's
so.
so what I look at for me, it's like you got to do the dirty work, and you got to just literally just do it, because once it's out there, then you can look at it and say, okay, I got to fix this, I got to adjust this
Yes.
can be better. But if it's not out there, there's no way you can critique it. And so when it comes to me, the way I started, I got up on stage, started talking, and I filmed it, and I would give it to people, and I would pull my ego back and say, "Tell them what's wrong," and they broke it down, and I have a strong enough sense of self to realize they're not trying to break me as Anthony down, but just what I'm doing. And when they did that, it allowed me to step back and let more and more people help me get better. And so part of it was just put myself out there, being okay with the fact that it's not going to be perfect. And as much as I want it to be, it can't be perfect because it's just my brain, and let people help me perfect it along the way. So just start.
Did you start in churches or like the YMCA, or how did you get gigs?
I started in my gym talking to kids all day. I started in my gym, and then I got to a point where I joined the speaking organization called the what was it called? The International Speakers Association, I think.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
And then there's Toastmasters also.
Yeah, I never did Toastmasters, and so part of that was like, you come in, you have like little things where you give a little speech. I'd give a little speech, and then I would, I don't know, little by little, I get asked to go to like some schools or talk to a football team or talk to a group of people, and then it got to the point where I realized, okay, I got something here, and then I went away and worked with a speech coach she just kind of sits down and breaks down the speech, not a speaking coach, but a speech coach, and she helped me kind of walk through like the design of the story and how to frame certain things. And then at a certain point, I worked with another person who worked on the story. And then I've yet to ever have somebody teach me how to speak, which I don't think I'm ever going to do. Because from what I've been told, like I was blessed with the ability to understand how, like, I can read people in the moments of it, and I can adjust, so I can feel an audience. I can understand what to say, just enough of when the energy gets low, I can sense it. I'll bring it back up. I can do that. So when I merge a story with how I just talk, it kind of gels together. Now, it doesn't mean, like, right now I'm not a world-class speaker. I'm still working, and I will every single day, but I'm better than the average Joe for the most part. And that just takes time and practice. That's it. It's just a lot of putting yourself out there. But every time you do and you learn something new, you're like, oh, I can get better. And you have this hope to get better. Then you do it, and then you do get better. And it's more fun over time.
Absolutely. Stage presence is very important.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's excellent. So Speakers Association and Toastmasters, for those looking to go out and speak, is a good organizations to start.
Yeah.
Those are excellent. So, and where has your speaking taken you? I mean, has it gone around the world, or?
Yeah, man. I've been as far as like Russia. That was
Wow.
interesting. But yeah, man, I travel. I just got back from North Dakota, Fargo.
Yep.
I've spoken in front of a good group, like 1,500 people. I've had some good times, man, and I travel around and talk, and in time it'll grow. But that's pretty much my thing, man. And it's not always that my business isn't speaking. I just enjoy speaking because it gives me the ability to reach more people, and I love interacting with people. I miss that part of my gym, which was the face-to-face interaction with other people.
So, did you just say that your business is not speaking?
Yeah.
Can you frame that a little for us?
So how do I
What
explain?
do you
It's kind
consider your business?
I know it's my business is multiple things. There are parts of my business. So I say business is not speaking. My business isn't probably only speaking.
Okay.
A lot of people hear, motivational speaker, which I do not believe I'm a motivational speaker. Parts of what I say are motivational,
Wait,
but
wait, 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 wait. You don't believe that you're a motivational speaker? Did you just say
no.
that?
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not. I don't
Really?
like people who say that they're motivational speakers. And it's not that it's a bad thing. I just maybe I don't like with a strong choice of words. The way I look at it is a motivational speaker's job is to come in and motivate, and they walk away and they leave you there high and dry. And you're all motivated, but you have no idea what to do. It's like somebody coming and
Right.
saying, "Hey, man, if you were to, fix this tire in this car and fix that engine up and paint it red and black and you do all this stuff and it can go really, really fast. All right, I'll see you later." And they walk. You're like,
Okay.
"Well, how the hell do I make this car look like that?" So So the way I do it is like I look at it as yes, I'm going to inspire you to take a thought on and say, okay, cool, this is possible. But then I'm going to actually tell you how to change a tire, how to paint the car, how to fix the engine. I'm gonna tell you how to do these things in your life so you can actually drive this car. Because it's not you don't care about the car. You care about driving the car. That's what you want to drive that car. That's the end result. That's what gives you this pump, right? So I could be like, imagine if this car is riding on a freeway and it's just whipping left and right, and you can go in and out of lanes, and the hairs, the wind's in the hair, and then you're like, that sounds great, and then they just walk out. So for me, I'm going to teach you to fix the car so that can take place. So it's like for me, as much as I like to inspire people and tell you this is possible, it has nothing to do with like that being the end result for me. My thing has everything to do with how can I actually give you tools to where tomorrow when you wake up, you can do the work to where one day you wake up and say, holy crap, I built this life. I did this, because that's where the real joy comes from, when you're like, I did this, that ownership. So I just want to give you the tools and say, I'm going to step back. I'm going to sit here with you. Okay, here's how you change that tire, and watch you change the tire. Here's how you paint the car. Watch you paint the car like that. I'm going to teach people how to do that. So it's for me a level past, but yeah, I mean, it's when I say speaking isn't my business. Speaking is part of the business, but it's not the only thing I do. It's for me, I just speak to where I can get people to work with me on a deeper level to help them in a more genuine way.
And how do they do that?
They work with, I have different programs. I have a Recreate membership program, which is designed for people to redesign, rebuild, and recreate their life, it's literally a 6-month program where we go through curriculum and coaching and a great community of people that all interact in group structure. We do a retreat every year. So it's like, it's a place where we have like-minded people going through fixing that car together, in the same room, if you want to call it that. I have business programs. One's called Renew University, where I teach people to take their business from the ground up. I have masterminds where I actually do that hand in hand with people. I do one-on-one coaching where I teach people legitimately their business stuff, and then the fitness stuff. That's something that's always been part of my life. My degree's in kinesiology. I played in the NFL, so I have that background there. So I mean, those are the 3 areas. So fitness, business, and life is pretty much where I work with people, but it's actual programs. It's not just me on video motivating and inspiring you. It's saying, okay, cool, we're past motivation. Here's the real work. It's not going to be happy. It's not always going to be fun. You're not always going to like it. You're not going to feel like doing it. But if you want something great, you have to hustle to get it, and this is the work you have to do.
And are your retreats like local, or I mean, in your hometown, or are you?
Oh no! So this year I'm looking between Monterey or Tahoe. I'm in California, so it's gonna be down in Monterey or Tahoe, because they're both cool areas. Tahoe's like up high, tucked away. It's gonna be in March, but it's called the Recreate Retreat. So people who are in the membership program, the only ones that have access to the program. So you can't just come off the streets and go join. You have to at least be in the program. And then the other retreat was in San Mateo, which was actually a live event for the business program. Renew University was in San Mateo this last August. So yeah, they're somewhat local, but in time I want to go tropical with it. I was gonna hold the retreat in Costa Rica because I was living there. I think we moved down there in August we were supposed to be there for 10 months, and then 3 weeks in, someone tried to kidnap my 3 kids from the school, and so we got out of there within like 20 hours. So we're back home now.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was like, movie crazy. I don't even like thinking about what could have happened, to be honest. I don't even, like, just my thoughts internally, they get like what I would have done to somebody or what could have happened to my kids, just really weird. But yeah, so I was going to be in Costa Rica, but that didn't pan out. So yeah, but they're just, at the end of the day, for me, it's not like this destination thing. It's the fun you get to have with cool people. Because I want it to be kind of like a vacation where you get to go and people want to actually have fun, as opposed to poo butts who want to sit in the hotel room and not go on excursions. Like
Right, right.
it's something where you have people that are deep and they connect, and I want to facilitate communication in ways that most people don't. And I don't mean like pout sessions and cry sessions, which is, if you want to, by all means, but something where you just have a place to go and be able to feel really comfortable speaking from the deepest parts of your heart about things that are really bothering you, because we walk around with this heavy baggage all day long, and we're afraid to open the bag up and show someone what's going on in there, because we fear their judgments. And when you have that going on, like, it confines you for your entire life. There are people who will die with that bag being closed and just incredibly heavy. And so for me, I provide a space for people to go in and say, okay, look, this is me. This is what I got going on. And then other people who are in the same place sometimes open the bag and say, look, me too, let's figure a way out of this. And then I help guide and facilitate communication and ways to come out of those places to feel better, to just like enjoy life. And honestly, some people will openly share the things that they were afraid of having anybody find out. They're like, oh, not so bad. Like, they realize how to get out of it. They realize it's not who they are. It's just what happened. And so it's a cool thing to see people grow. Like, people grow up is the best way. Like, see grown-ups grow up. It's kind of funny to see.
Yeah, the child in them, the inner child, has captured their voice, and
Yeah.
until they open that bag, it's hard for them to speak.
So you live confined.
Yeah.
I have a full like framework on how the truster hustle is designed, and people get restrained. They don't trust their abilities. They don't really want to work, so they don't work, and then they feel really confined and ashamed, and they live their life very, really chronically in pain. They choose to put up with what's painful and what hurts their life, as opposed to finding a way out of that place.
And it's amazing how far they can come too quickly when they have the right guide, the right person,
Yeah.
the right positive energy to connect to, how
Yeah.
fast their life can actually change.
Yeah, it's just like I look at it kind of like people are like, imagine you're in one bank of a river. There's a big rushing river in between you and the other bank. And the other bank, you see this amazing life you want to live. It's what you want on the other bank of the river. So what a lot of people say is, hey, you can hop in that river and swim over. You can go get that. And they're pretty much telling somebody, hop in that river and swim. But the river's rushing and it's going crazy. So you're scared to hop in. So we stay in this bank because we feel like we're safer here. And what happens is someone's not helping them build a bridge. That's it. And it doesn't have to be somebody that builds a bridge for them. It can say, hey, here's this plank of wood, here's this, throw this over there, here's how you build that bridge. And so part of it is just being able to have someone first show them the blueprint, say, hey, here's how you can build that bridge. Oh, wow, I can get over there. All right, what do I got to do to build the bridge? Get this piece of wood, get this nail, like, and put this up. Like, so you start not only showing them it's possible, it gives them that little bit of hope, then you start having them build it, and they start seeing this is really going to pan out, and then it just takes off. Once somebody gets that taste of like, this can happen, and I see it happening, it rolls. And so that's what I do. I pretty much say, hey, you're wherever you're in life right now, that's what's going on, but here's the blueprint. Here's you can get from here to there. Do this little piece. They get that first like, oh wow, that actually worked. Let's keep going. And they go. And it becomes an obsessive kind of feeling, and next thing you know, they not only reach their goal, they surpass it most times.
Absolutely, yes. And that is the goal. Anybody, I'm sure, that we work with, it's my feeling, I want them to surpass me.
All day. Oh
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
I have my sister's just getting started in this space of helping, like, personal development. She's 22 and wants to create something called Ready Set Adult. All these things that adults fail to teach their kids sometimes, or kids come into the world having not listened to their parents, and they can't figure out how to negotiate a lease for your first place you rent, how to make sure you don't get screwed over at the car dealership or the auto mechanic, little stuff. And for her, it's like, gosh, she's 22. Like, I want to help her, so by the time she gets to my age, she's far surpassed me. Like, that's all I want. And I think a lot of people, they live in that space where it's like, I want you to do good, well, but not better than me. And it's that egoic thing. And the funny part is as I help her, it will improve me. It will make me better. And that's all I'm supposed to do. I don't need to be the top of the world. I just need to be happy.
Absolutely. And that is so, so true with everything.
Did you have your parents and your family, your friends support through all of this? Like, when things weren't so great and you were trying to find your way and your business, you decided to close your place.
No. Then there's times when my ex-wife at the time, she's like, chalk it up, close it. Because I had times I struggled. She's like, just close it, do something else. My best friend in the world was like, just close it, bro. It's too much of a headache. Just go do something else, And that was the gym portion. And if I don't continue to fight with the gym, I don't do this. When I decided to close the gym, nobody got it. That's stupid. You're going to talk to people for a living. Yeah, I'm gonna go talk to people for a living. Like it's just nobody gets it.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's kind of like an opposite of a lack of like support, because a lack of support saying, oh, I don't support that. It's actively saying don't do that. That's what I got. The flip side. So for me, I realized, and I talked about this when I came out there. It's you got to set a scale that's your own scale. A lot of people adopt a scale. They take the world scale of what's supposed to be good. They take other people's scale of what a good relationship's supposed to be or what they're supposed to be doing in life. And what ends up happening is now when somebody knocks you, you get knocked. You feel it, like they bump you down. But if you have your own scale and you take time to write down what you know is great, or what you deem to be great, or what you want to do, what ends up happening is now when somebody goes and says, that's stupid, you can hear them, but then you just go reference your scale. And if your scale says you're good, you're good. And that's all you gotta just live in that space. And so yeah, there's times when they didn't support, they didn't actively care about what I was doing. Now they're on board. But you gotta be crazy. They have to look at you like you're crazy. They have to look at you like what is wrong? Why are you still doing that?
Right.
They gotta look at you like that, because what happens is when they're saying you're crazy, you finally hit that bubble that most people never get to. That's it. The successful people at all points, every person has been looked at like they were crazy for their idea. Everyone. I don't know anybody who hasn't at some point been like, dude, that doesn't make any sense. It's weird. Oh, wait, OnStar? You could push a button in the car. And, it's like these things that just pop up. And it's legit. I got a buddy who was almost best friends with the guy who created OnStar. And he was like, this dude came to me one day and was like, yeah, I'm going to put a button in a car. When you push it, somebody talks to him and helps him in their car. He's like, that's stupid. It'll never take off. And he didn't get stock in it. And next thing you know, it's in all this damn car. So there's always those points. And so for me, I look at it as, hey, what's my scale? And do I look crazy enough to other people? And if so, like, I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Another great example is bottled water.
Yeah.
Who's going to buy that?
Yeah. I remember when there was none.
Like everybody.
Yeah. Now it's a huge market, man. It's crazy, but that's it. You got to be okay with looking crazy. You almost have to desire to look crazy. Like not like wear, clown mask and paint your face crazy. But
right.
But I mean like legitimate, like when someone looks at it, it has to be this. I think it's crazy because when they see it, it should be something where they're like, oh, they wouldn't continue on. So you must be crazy. And so at that moment, you're saying that's humanity. That's how 99.9% of us operate, is that I'm not going to do that work. That's just too much work. And why would you do it? Because they're talking to you from an internal voice of them analyzing themselves. And so when it's like a keep going type thing and they can't figure it out, that's literally just you showing somebody else a mirror of their inadequacies. So keep moving.
It's them explaining to you the words they use every day to steal their own dreams.
All day. I like that.
If you believe in them more than you do yourself, you're going to start stealing your dreams too.
Yeah. Good stuff. I like that.
So yeah, that's took me a long time to get past that one.
Yeah.
But now, if I have an idea, I go to the people that would steal my dreams and I ask them if they think it's a good idea. Then I won't do it. I know I have to rethink it. And if it thinks it's a bad idea, I know I'm right on track.
Yeah. I like it.
That's good, Gary.
So I think we're pretty much at the end of our hour here.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Anthony. This was fun.
Very welcome. Very, very welcome.
Always awesome to hear you speak. It was great when you were here last week to actually get to meet you face to face and hear you and just see you in your real and raw. So.
And give you a ride to the airport, and I wasn't even there, and I know that.
Yeah.
News travels fast.
It does. I was done, and I was going to get because I was going to stay. That's a funny story too. I was going to stay at the airport, and so I needed a ride back. And the guy, I was going to just call the same taxi, but then she wanted to chat. I was like, hey, well, I got to get back. I had a meeting I had to take at the airport with one of my clients. So I got back to the airport. She took me to the airport, and I got there, and I got done like 11:15 with my meeting, like p.m. And the guy goes, "What are you doing, sir?" I'm like, "I'm just going to wait till my flight at 5 in the morning." He goes, "Airport closed in 45 minutes." I was like, "Oh. Well, that's great." So I was like, where am I supposed to go? He goes, I don't know. So I go ask a taxi driver, and where's a 24-hour place? I guess there's this place called Save Mart or Stay Mart. It's a truck stop. So I just went and sat at Stay Mart and watched a couple
Oh my
movies.
God.
Yeah, I sat there by myself for like 4 hours in the middle of the night. I didn't sleep though. I stayed up the entire night. I was like, I'm not
Wow.
about to get like taken from the stinking truck
Oh
driving
my
spot.
God.
Um,
Message. Oh my
no, I'm
God.
good.
I
So
did
no,
not
it's
know
good.
this happened.
I hung out, man. I had some water. I got a sandwich. I watched two movies. I was good. I had
Wow.
a
Sounds
good
good.
time. But yeah, then I went back and took off and I flew back and I had some stuff to go the next day.
Do you have anything that you'd like to say to people before we go?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always something I can say. What would I say to a person right now? I would look at it like this. This is like pretty much how I look at this whole trust your hustle concept. You have this level of where if you're really going to achieve something in life, you're really going to change something, get out of a place you don't want to be in, you have to hustle. You got to work at it. The problem is most people don't because they don't have a faith in themselves. So the goal is to get this faith, this knowing, this sense of like I got this. And the problem is we don't have that. It's a feeling type thing. In order to get there, you have to have a belief in yourself. Like what underlies that faith is a belief. Even if it's like religious, you want to have a faith in your God unless you believe in your God in the first place, right? So you got to have a belief in yourself, which means we've got to start believing more in ourselves. The problem with the belief in ourselves is most people say, believe in yourself, and they walk off the stage, and it's like, oh, well, how do I do that? And so I did a ton of research to figure out really like what is underlying belief, and it's very simplistic, and it's trust. That's it. If you trust someone, you'll believe them. That's it. Like if you trust the doctor and he says, take this pill, you believe him, so you take the pill, right? Simple. But we don't have that internally. A lot of us struggle to get that trust internally. Therefore, because we lack this trust in ourselves, we can't get that belief. We can't have the faith and the knowing. So what we do is we just sit in a bad place and we have that chronic pain. So we just don't pursue anything. So in order to get out of that, the best thing you can do is look at what trust is and how to develop trust. And trust is an emotion. It's something that happens on the backside of actions. All emotions happen in the backside of actions. Something happens, I feel a certain way. And so with trust being a way that you feel, what happens is you've got to start looking at the two areas, mostly three areas that are one you can add and one that's taken away. The reason we have a lack of trust is always sees the negative stuff. We see what we failed at, our inadequacies, our weakness, where we're not doing really well. Because people in our life, they don't fail to tell us how bad we're doing most of the time. They're like, oh, you suck at this, this, and this. So that's all that's prevalent to us. So
Yeah.
when you have that, it rips your trust away. The way you get it back is by two different things. One, you stop for a moment and focus on everything good you did. As simple as it may be, just start making a list of all the good things you did and have this kind of like on-call trust of like, well, I did this. Like, I got to stand for something. The other side is you start saying, what can you do that will allow you to have successful wins and actions in your life to where you can look back and say, dang it, I did that and that and that. Maybe I can take on that. And you slowly start that climb towards building up that trust in yourself. And that comes from having a really, really deep-seated reason as to why you do something. So we were talking earlier about this feeling thing. It must be something that's so deep and so dark, it's embarrassing to share in public. Because that is the reason that when all crap breaks loose and then the crap hits the fan, like at the end of the day, that's why you'll keep moving. You'll just go past the inevitable setbacks. And when you do that, you will eventually win. You will eventually win. And when you do, you build trust. You're like, oh, I did that. You feel better, and it builds up that belief, and the belief turns into faith, and now you're good. And then you can truly trust your hustle. So that's it for people, man. Just go and find that deep-seated reason why and start moving. And then look at the good things. Build some trust to yourself, and you'll find that it climbs way more internally than you ever thought it could.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yes.
That is spot on. So how can people get in touch with you?
A couple ways, man. You can go to facebook.com/Anthony Trucks. That's my Facebook. And then, or go to anthonytrucks.com.
Okay. And
Yeah,
I will put those links in the description for you.
Cool. I appreciate it.
And any other places or email, or does that all come with the Facebook and the...
Oh yeah, I am the one that's actively on those. So at the end of the day,
Okay.
if they send messages to the social media, I'm on that. And then if you go to the website, it's either me or my team. Usually, I think that the email on the website goes to me.
Okay.
Once people get into like programs with me, I'm obviously the main man of the programs, but I have a lot of people, so I have to have a support staff to answer certain emails and stuff. But those first emails, they come to me because I want to talk to people.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Now you had when you were here, you had a shirt that was said "You're enough."
Yes,
You don't have a line yourself, do you?
I do. It's I have, but it doesn't say you're enough. It's Trucksters. So like the
Okay.
people that are like part of my programs, they name themselves the Trucksters. It was their own name. It's pretty cool. So if you go to trucksters.live, that's what you can get. Like
Trucksters.live.
there's like shirts and hoodies and bags. It's pretty cool little stuff. But I think it's trucksters.live. I'm pretty sure it is. I haven't gone there in a little bit to buy anything. I bought some stuff for myself, and that was it.
Do you have a link
Trucksters.
also to the shirt you were wearing? The Urina?
Oh, so that shirt's not even mine. That shirt actually is a buddy of mine. He has a friend that has that line, and so he just
That'd be
basically gave me a shirt. I don't know who wrote it though.
It's
You know what?
okay.
I think her name is on the shirt. If you want to give me a second, I can run back to my closet and grab it.
Either
Or
that or
just
you
send it to
can
you
message
later.
me and I can tell Gary later. It
All right,
doesn't matter.
I'll do that. I'll find it in a little bit and then I'll get it over to you.
Awesome.
Okay. Sounds good. Well, thank you again,
Very welcome.
and have a great day. See you
Yes.
guys.
Take care.
Very nice to meet you, Anthony. You have
You,
a
Gary.
fantastic day.
It'll be night. Halloween's coming up, so I'll take the kids.
Yeah.
trick or
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We just go to the
Absolutely.
church. We go to the church, the Harvest Festival. It's like trick or treating inside a safe area.
Yes. Yeah, that's happening more and more. They just had right here by our house as a park for the kids to play in, basketball and that kind of stuff. They had a live band, and all the stores got together and handed out candy to all the kids. And
Yeah, I like that.
in Providence, they just had a Halloween parade. There were hundreds of people there, all dressed up in costume, walking in the parade, and
Oh, I
it
like
was
that.
very, very cool.
Good stuff.
So, all right. Well, thank you very
Enjoy
much.
it.
Very welcome.
All right, you have a fantastic day.
You guys too. Take care.
Yep. Bye bye.